So now we're on to question 2, and this is for 7 marks, which is quite a bit. But what we must understand and remember is that every time we use a reduction formula, a special angle, a negative angle, each time we use some rule from trig, we will be awarded a mark. So generally, for questions like this, where we now have just values, we need to reduce these values so that they are less than 90 degrees. We need to reduce these angles so they are acute angles. So we're starting off with tan of 205 degrees. The first question you need to ask yourself is, which quadrant does this angle lie in? 205 degrees lies in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, the reduction formula which we make use of is 180 plus. So that's now equal to tan of 180 plus 25. Now focusing on cos of 315 degrees, that angle lies in the fourth quadrant. So we're going to use 360 minus. That becomes 360 minus 45 degrees. We're now looking at sine of 135. 135 lies in the second quadrant where we use 180 minus. So that gives us sine of 180 degrees minus 45 degrees. We can now go on to the denominator. So working with a sine of 210 degrees, this angle lies in the third quadrant. We're going to use 180 plus. That gives us 180 plus 30 degrees. Now focusing on cos of 150. 150 lies in the second quadrant, so we can use 180 minus 30 degrees. Now, when you look at tan 25, you realize that this is already an acute angle. It's already less than 90 degrees, so there is no need to reduce this. We can leave it as is for now. Now, in the next step, we are going to apply all of these reduction formulas to get the answers of them. First, starting off with tan of 180 plus 25 degrees, it's important to ask yourself whether this trig ratio is positive in that particular quadrant. 180 plus is in the third quadrant where tan is positive, so that answer should be positive tan 25. So cos of 360 degrees minus 45 degrees, 360 minus is in the fourth quadrant where cos is positive. That becomes positive cos 45 degrees. We now have sine of 180 minus 45. 180 minus is in the second quadrant where sine is positive, so that becomes positive sine 45. We're now on to the denominator. We have sine of 180 plus 30 degrees. 180 plus is in the third quadrant where sine is negative, so this becomes negative sine 30. Next, we have cos of 180 minus 30 degrees. 180 minus is in the second quadrant where cos is negative. That becomes negative cos 30. And the tan 25 just stays as is, so we're going to write that here as tan 25 degrees. At this point, what we notice is that we've got tan 25 degrees in the numerator as well as the denominator. So they can cancel out with each other. Whatever we're left with has special angles in them. We've got cos 45, sine 45, negative sine 30, and negative cos 30. And we know that for special angles, they are equal to specific ratios. In the next step, I'm going to replace each trig function with its corresponding ratio. Starting off with the cos 45 degrees, that is equal to 1 over square root 2. Now going on to sine 45 degrees, that is also equal to 1 over square root 2. Now we have negative sine 30 degrees. That would equal to negative 1 over 2. Negative cos 30 degrees would be negative square root 3 over 2. Now, simplifying the fractions in the numerator, we have 1 times 1, so the numerator stays as 1. We have square root 2 times square root 2, which just gives us 2. In the denominator, we have negative times a negative, which would be a positive. 1 times square root 3, which would be square root 3, over 2 times 2, which is 4. Now, to get the final answer, we can simplify this fraction as a whole, and we should get 2 square root 3 over 3 as the final answer.